Now everyone's remote. So how do you help each employee or new member of the company to have a personal and emotional connection with the company, the mission, the culture? Because now we don't have a chance to go to the office and experience, the get to know the culture through a very physical way. But now that's no longer possible. So how do you cultivate that sense of belonging, especially when they coming from all different backgrounds and from all the places?
Yeah, so one of the programs we've actually invested in is a boot camp program, an onboarding program. And I think a lot of people might think that, oh, maybe I'm too big or too small for this. I'll share a little bit about how we've thought of it. I think there are three core components. There is the learning, the technical learning. What does it mean to be an um, engineer here? The second is the social component, which is how do you form a connection with other people, other engineers. I think that initial cohort, there's something, I think there can be something very special to it. And I noticed this, by the way, when I joined Robinhood. It was soon after we had a pandemic, and you're on these video calls, and you finish your session and then you just hit end, and everybody's out, right? You don't have that, like, oh, I can just turn to the person sitting next to me and ask them a question, and we can go have lunch together. And so, really investing in that kind of social environment, you do have to put an effort into it, because it'll really help all of the new folks that are joining. And then the third part, actually, which might make sense, might not, for each organization, is how do people get allocated to teams? What we found is that we built this for the time period that we were scaling very quickly, and we were just adding a lot of engineers. And what we felt is that from the time we talked to them to when we started, when they would start, things would just change so much that actually giving them the opportunity to pick their team when they start, we actually felt that it would be helpful, for both kind of the engineers and for us in terms of making sure people could go to the highest priority areas.
I really like the cohort model to get people on board. I still remember, folks, that when in my previous companies, even years after, I still remember the first day when I get into the company, who started with me on the same day. So that special connection can really provide a lot of peer to peer support after people go into a company, and also help to connect more connections among different nodes, so they can, they have questions for something, they know who to talk to.
Yeah. Actually, another thing I would recommend also is like keeping the stories alive, right? Every company, you have these traditions, and I think it's really important to keep reinforcing them and actually sharing them, when people start. Um, and one of the most striking things for me actually was when I started. We still do this, but a weekly all hands, and it always starts with sharing the mission of the company. And I just think that's such a cool and unique aspect of Robinhood, where it's like reminding people every week, right, that hey, this is why we're all here and this is what we're after.